there's something called biochemical individuality. And basically that means all of us are different. Every child is different in terms of their nutrient needs, depending on their activity level, their diet, their genetics, what mom was consuming when she was pregnant, what grandma was consuming when she was pregnant. And so generationally, there's an impact there. Guaranteed they're deficient in something.
On the podcast today, we have Dr. Gina Nick. She is world-renowned naturopath, physician, researcher. She's a formulator, and she's based in California. She has expertise in treating autoimmune disease, addictions, anxiety, and more. So welcome to the show, Gina.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's awesome to be able to chat with you and to share this information, because I feel like in a world where basically the social media, the TV, all of those things are constantly throwing advertisements at us about what we need next, it's hard to know as parents what to give your kid. And before I even let you talk about what you can offer them, what would be the perfect scenario for parents if it was possible to have them have optimal health for their kids? What would be the perfect scenario?
Oh gosh, perfect scenario. Okay, in terms of diet, I would say ideally locally grown organic produce. And if you eat animal protein, again, locally raised wild game, organic would be ideal, with highly purified, clean water. And starting there, creating an environment where kids are immersed in nature, because when you're in nature, it helps to regulate the stress response. And there's a whole lot of research out there on the impact that nature has on your health as adults and kids. So for the parents too. But just being in nature supports your immune system, lowers inflammation, helps to regulate that stress hormone cortisol, which in our society today, in our world today, is super, super important for our kids. So important. And helping to counter exposure to technology and all that stuff, which is not going anywhere. We have to deal with it as parents, right? But counter it by immersing them in nature. That's my biggest tip. And for parents is teach kids to pack a picnic and go outside and eat their food in nature. So things like that, find outdoor activities. And then, other than that, it would be exposing kids to the arts, music and the arts and all, just to help develop that part of their brain. And it's really all about helping to balance out their stress response, immune system, and developing their brain in a balanced way, like where we're promoting more whole brain thinking is really where it's at, in my humble opinion. So that would be in a perfect world where kids wouldn't need supplements, but realistically, we're not there. And also there wouldn't be any refined sugar. There wouldn't be any artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners. There wouldn't be any artificial colors. They wouldn't be exposed to the amount of pesticides and herbicides that their developing brains are exposed to. And a lot less technology. That's the perfect world.
And then we can't create that. We can do our best to create as much of it as we can. But I think what's interesting is, as you were speaking, I was thinking through the environments, the stress, and just the expectations that are on kids. Even if you could take 2 hours of their day, there's so much on their life that unfortunately we can't control. So it makes that nutrition piece of things so much more important, and the relaxation that you were talking about.
Yeah, nutrition is, I left out animals, making sure they're around animals. Animal therapy is helpful for anxiety and stress. And that's what our kids are facing these days, right? But in terms of nutrition, and the thing is we eat every day, 2 to 3 times a day. And so the impact, the power that nutrition has on the human body and on the developing body of a child and the developing brain of a child cannot be underestimated. And I'm a mom, single mom and the whole bit, I get it in terms of not having the time and the energy. And it's real easy to go drive through a fast food restaurant, which is horrible for our kids. And so while it's convenient, I would say cost benefit analysis, it's worth the time and the energy to, as best you can, cook at home. As best you can, find a local farmer's market, take the kids with. My daughter loves going and picking out really cool new produce that you don't normally see at the grocery store. Taking the time to do that, again, cost benefit analysis, because we're all so busy and we all have so many pressures all the time. It is 100% worth it to take the time to prepare foods at home as often as possible.
I love that. I think it's so easy. I have college age kids.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to fall into these habits where you just even do the same food all the time. What do I know that they'll eat? Okay, we'll make just that because I know it'll be consumed, but we're also limiting them on what else they could put in their bodies that maybe they'd really enjoy, or it would give them something that they're not getting right now.
And even planting a little garden or even getting seeds and sprouting them at home and having, if you're younger kids, not college kids, I don't know, they're not gonna be that interested. Maybe, you never know. But with younger kids, getting the seeds and sprouting them and allowing your children to watch the seeds sprout and then planting them in the soil and then watching the corn grow or the broccoli or whatnot, that whole process, that's impacting them. And even if they act bored at the time, it's registering in their brains and they're making the connection between just nature and the power of nature and how powerful these foods are that they consume and that they can be extremely healing to the body.
Okay, let's say a family, maybe they're trying to supplement through vitamins. They know their diet isn't the best. They're trying to figure out what vitamins are better. And I'm going to half guess what you're going to say, that most of the supplements on the market probably aren't up to kosher as far as what they really need. So exactly how do they know if their kids need supplements, and how do they even assess what is missing in their diets?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because there's something called biochemical individuality. And basically that means all of us are different. Every child is different in terms of their nutrient needs, depending on their activity level, their diet, their genetics, what mom was consuming when she was pregnant, what grandma was consuming when she was pregnant, all of those things, and what grandma was exposed to is impacting the child. And so generationally, there's an impact there. And so different children have different vulnerabilities. I'm a doctor, so I'm a big fan of testing, doing some lab testing to see what nutrients your child is deficient in. Guaranteed they're deficient in something. I'm positive. And trying to find out what are the big ones. Do they need vitamin D? Most kids need vitamin C, and that's beneficial for all children to take. But getting more specific, vitamin E, vitamin K, etc., find out what your child actually needs and then supplement. Always look to what foods contain those nutrients and incorporate those into the diet. I'm a big fan of getting your nutrients from foods whenever possible, and then also supplementing. And there's really no good answer like every child needs a multivitamin. One, it depends on the quality of the multivitamin and what's in it. A lot of the multivitamins for children, unfortunately, contain sugar, dyes, artificial colors, and artificial flavors that are neurotoxins. So what does that mean? It means they're toxins that cross the blood-brain barrier and cause inflammation in the brain and cause attention deficit disorder symptoms, ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety are all triggered or can be aggravated by exposure to neurotoxins that are found in nutritional supplements.
That's crazy.
It is. Even nutrition bars for kids. So just because something says that it's healthy on the packaging, you have to look at the label, look at the ingredients, and really see what's in there and look at what are they using as excipients or binders, and what are they using. Sometimes they'll color the capsules with red dye, which is a neurotoxin. And so you're better off not giving your child that supplement. And so you really have to be mindful of what's out there. The nutritional supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is huge. It's huge. And there are a lot of really good supplements on the market. There are also a lot of really bad supplements on the market that I would never give to my child or any of my patients ever. And it is important to focus on quality supplements, ideally working with a pediatrician who is knowledgeable in nutritional supplements, who really has a quality background in nutritional supplements and can guide you on what's best for your children. So.
Yeah, I think that's what's scary too, is as a parent, you're trying to provide things and there's a little bit of guessing by gosh in some of that, unless you have that help that you really need. And I honestly, like around us, I don't know that there's a lot of pediatricians that have that kind of background. So that's interesting too.
There are some really good ones out there, and so you just have to do your homework, do your research. But there are some wonderful pediatricians out there that are well educated on functional medicine and nutrition, that can help guide you in that direction. So
for kids, if they have the chronic illness or some sort of condition that their body's trying to deal with, does it change the requirements quite a bit?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. There are nutrient deficiencies that can cause diseases, period. And so that's why I really am a huge advocate for, if your child is having health challenges, have them tested for all of the nutrients and amino acids, vitamins, minerals. Even now you can test for the gut microbiome. So to see what's going on with, do they need probiotics? Most likely they do, especially if they're dealing with a health challenge. And so testing and finding out, it's worth it. If you look at the cost of wasting your money on a bunch of different supplements that you don't know if they're working or not, and you end up with a cabinet full of stuff because you felt guilty that you weren't giving your child what they needed, take that money and spend it on quality testing, and ideally working with a doctor who knows what they're doing, so that they can guide you properly. And then you have a plan in place to truly provide the body with what it needs. And when you do that, it is amazing how the body will go about healing itself. Give your body what it needs, remove what's called barriers to cure. So as best you can, I'm a big advocate for detoxification. So removing toxins that are blocking the body's ability to heal itself.
Now, how do people go about getting the testing done? I know it's through the doctor, but is it blood work? Is it a swab? What do the kids experience for that?
Yeah, so there's different tests out there. Typically, it'll be like a swab and a finger prick. But there are tests where they have to get their blood drawn. But these days, the testing is so sophisticated that with a swab and a finger prick, and it may be a urine sample as well, if you want to test something called organic acids, you have a really nice picture of what's going on, and you haven't caused your child a lot of angst and trauma in the process. So yeah, finger prick, swab, and a urine test. There's a company called Genova Diagnostics, and I've used their labs forever, and they have a really good panel, a NutriEval panel where it is a swab, a finger prick, and a urine sample, and you get a real nice look at what's going on. So I like that one. Yeah.
Is that through the doctor then that you order it, or is that individual?
Yeah, that's through the doctor. But these days, there are a lot of testing companies coming out where you don't even have to go to the doctor. You can just order a test. There's a lot of different companies out there where you can do that. I'm just familiar with what I use in my practice, but I know that there are, which I'm very thankful for, because it puts the power back in the individual's hand, the parent's hand. You don't have to go to the doctor to get a lab test done. You can go get what you need. But it is helpful to have the guidance of a qualified healthcare professional to help you look at what the results are, what to take once you see the results, and how to assess progress and all of that. So.
That's awesome. Now, okay, so what they don't know as they're listening, they're thinking, wow, she knows so much. This is awesome. They don't know that you have your own product. And I think it's so amazing. Can you tell them a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been a product formulator for a couple decades now. I was the director of research at one of the leading nutritional supplement companies in the country, called Standard Process. And I formulated a lot of products for them. And so this product is based on something called glutathione, which I've been using for a very long time. And glutathione is, I call it the mother of all antioxidants. It is like the master antioxidant. It works with vitamin C, so they work together, but it is very powerful at keeping inflammation at bay, balancing the immune system. It's found in every cell in your body, glutathione, and it supports detoxification in every cell in your body. It's a combination of 3 amino acids. It's called a tripeptide. And what happens is our bodies can get depleted in glutathione when we're exposed to stress, inflammation, if you have an autoimmune condition. There are a lot of different reasons why our body's ability to maintain a high level of glutathione goes down. And that's where supplementation can be so powerful. It also crosses the blood-brain barrier and it lowers inflammation in the brain. And so for any conditions tied to neuroinflammation, long COVID and autism, attention deficit disorder, depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, those are all associated with something called neuroinflammation. And glutathione is something that your body naturally makes and helps to keep that at bay. But again, if we're exposed to too many toxins and too much stress, our body gets depleted. And that's where supplementation comes in. Glutathione, you can get it from foods, things like broccoli and peaches, cherries, even hamburger meat has some glutathione in it. I don't think it's enough. And so that's where supplementation can become very helpful. The challenge with glutathione is typically you'd have to inject it. Like I would do injections in my practice. In oral form, it's not very stable. And so it doesn't actually get absorbed in the body. And so it can be a waste. And so there's something called liposomal glutathione, which tastes not the best. And so I've always had a problem with patient compliance, especially with kids. I couldn't get them to stay on it. It works, but get them to take it is another story. You know, as a mom, you get that. When your audience gets that, all the moms out there, parents, no, it's not gonna happen if it doesn't taste good. So I set out, I was like, that's it. There's over 100,000 clinical studies on this powerhouse antioxidant that helps the body to heal itself, is so foundational and so important these days for kids and adults. I want to make a form that's stable, absorbed in the body, bioavailable, supports detoxification in our kids and adults. And I want it to taste good without sugar and without any of the junk in it. And so I did. I've been formulating products for my patients for years. And so I use some of the same techniques, but this was like a little bit divinely inspired, I would say, or a lot, not a little bit. It was divinely inspired. It was during COVID. I was homeschooling my daughter, doing patient visits with all the garb on. We didn't know what COVID was, but I was, going and doing visits and doing injections and all that. And I said, I was looking at my daughter and I'm like, I want every child to have access to glutathione and actually take it. And so you remember pixie sticks?
Yeah.
Yeah, pixie sticks. Okay, I loved pixie sticks. They're horrible for you, right? It's for sugar and dye and all this stuff. And I was like, I want to make a glutathione product that tastes like a pixie stick that we can put in our kids' lunch boxes and put them in when they're going to camp, put them in their lunch, and they'll take it, they'll enjoy it. And that adults will enjoy it too, adding it to water, just taking it. And so that's what happened. I formulated it. First try, got the samples back, tasted great. The neighborhood kids were like, this tastes better than a pixie stick. And so I was like, okay, this is worth it. I'm going to do this. So fast forward how many years, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but we have the products. And here we are.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been really fun. And it's a pleasure to create something that I know kids will actually take. And I put vitamin D3 and magnesium and zinc and glycine and a little bit of stevia as the sweetener. And that's it. And so I know if my daughter takes that, she's pretty well covered. Like I'm happy. I'm good. So, yeah.
Interesting. So it sounds like it's daily, 1 stick a day.
So, I mean, with all supplements, ideally you're getting glutathione into your system every day. And so I formulate it where it's safe to take it every day. With supplements, I tend to say 5 days on, 2 days off, take a little break on the weekend so your body doesn't get too used to things. But glutathione, it's safe to take every day. Your body's manufacturing it every single day.
Here's probably a ridiculous question, but I'm going to ask just because maybe somebody else has heard this too. I've heard that your body can get acclimated to things and then quit producing it. Is that the case with something like this?
No. So this is the dosage that I chose to include is what's called a physiologic dose. It means it's supplementing what you would get from your diet and what you would take or what your body would naturally manufacture. So it's not a suppressive dose. It's not such a high dose that there's the risk that your body's going to suddenly say, oh, we have enough. We don't need to make our own anymore. Absolutely not. No, that's not possible. No.
And what kind of success stories have you had with it?
Oh my gosh, across the board. It's amazing. We're collecting all the testimonials now, and it's just so cool to hear. Headaches. So for like migraines and headaches, it seems to just be very helpful at just handling it, and then supporting immune function. And this, I didn't even formulate the product for this purpose, but a lot of women who are in the perimenopause and menopausal phase are going through really it's hormone fluctuations. So even women who aren't going through perimenopause and menopause, but have their monthly cycles or they're erratic for one reason or another, glutathione is manufactured in the liver as well as everywhere else, but there's a higher amount manufactured in the liver. Your liver is your biggest detox organ, your most significant detox organ. And in naturopathic medicine, we were trained that to help with any hormonal imbalance, you have to detox the liver. You have to. And so by taking glutathione, you're supporting liver clearance. And the feedback we're getting on the impact on anything having to do with hormonal imbalance is amazing. I have women who aren't comfortable taking bioidentical hormones or hormone therapies as they're going through that time of life, but they find that when they take Best Daily Ever, everything's fine. They feel better, helps with their sleep. And it's because it's supporting detoxification. And glutathione is really powerful at detoxing heavy metals out of the body as well. And there are a lot of conditions that are connected to heavy metal toxicity. And so lead and mercury and cadmium and all of that. And so, yeah, the feedback has been awesome. Popular thing with Best Daily Ever is for hangovers. So alcohol's a neurotoxin. I'm not an advocate for alcohol drinking. And for those who choose to drink alcohol, when they take it, they don't have a hangover. It just helps it's a powerful detoxifying agent.
So when you detox, and maybe this is, maybe I've had bad experiences before in the past, but I had like flu-like symptoms. I felt kind of nauseous. Do you go through that with this?
No. And so, no, that's more if you're going like on an intense detox. I'm a big proponent for detoxification. I wrote a book called Clinical Purification, 430 clinical references in it. It's like a textbook. And I designed a 21-day purification program. So I'm a big advocate for detoxing the right way. And yes, sometimes you can have those detox headaches, or you can get a rash, or you can have these symptoms tied to auto intoxication where toxins are getting released and you're experiencing the result of it. By doing something daily that supports your detox mechanisms, it's like it's doing it slowly, right? And so it's not this intense detox where suddenly a bunch of stuff is getting released and you have an adverse reaction. So this is more about, and I've always said, do something every day to support your detox mechanisms. The human detoxification system is one of the most powerful systems in your body. It is such a powerful system, and it's comprised of your colon, your skin, your kidneys, your lymphatic system, your liver, and they're all working together to basically take toxins from the environment, toxins that are made in your own body when you're fighting an infection, when you're under trauma. There are a lot of ways your body's producing its own toxins, but the detoxification system takes those toxins, renders them inactive, and gets rid of them, gets them out of your body. And just the fact that we have this system in our body and that it's working 24/7 speaks to how important it is. And we need to be paying more attention to the human detoxification system and doing those daily things for kids as well. These days, it's not just adults who have accumulated toxins over time, but for kids, doing something daily to support your detox mechanisms is a very wise thing to do.
So does that help with addictions? I think I always think of caffeine. I know caffeine's not horrible.
Oh, it's an addiction.
It can definitely be. So even like addictions like that, where you're just even sweets, things where you're just craving it.
That's well, yeah, that's when I take the pixie sticks, right? They're just these little, when I'm wanting something, yeah. Oh, this one's open because I just had it. But this is, this is the best daily ever. Yeah, I just put it in water. But they taste good, right? And so if you're throughout the day, you're getting stressed or you're working or whatever, you just have a little bit and it just cuts it. And so, yes, it helps with sugar cravings a lot. And I use glutathione for addictions, like heavy addictions. I'll do injections in my practice. And I have found that it is the most powerful of all the things I do with my patients who have an addiction and treating hormone imbalances, but they go hand in hand. But if you're taking a glutathione supplement daily and you're slowly helping your body to detox from whatever it is that you're addicted to, yes, you should really see just a rebalancing of things. So you don't go and grab whatever it is, the sugar or the caffeine necessarily. Yeah, you have something else to grab, the pixie stick. Yeah.
We were also talking a little bit about sports, because I know a lot of kids actually are like so involved in sports and probably drinking Gatorades or Powerades or whatever. Again, something that like this is helpful for that as well, right?
Yes, this is not an electrolyte supplement. I would use this and an electrolyte supplement, but I would not use Gatorade. Absolutely not. Look at the ingredients. There's artificial sweeteners, artificial colors. Use something. There's a lot of electrolyte mixes out there, like Ultima. I like Ultima. There's IV hydration. There's a brand called Noon, N-U-N. They're pretty readily accessible. And so just add that to some water rather than grabbing those electrolyte drink, the Gatorade, because that stuff is just not good for you.
And you're back to the color thing again as well.
Yes.
Artificial chemicals.
Right. Wonderful to be putting electrolytes back in your body. That is key, is so essential. But don't then add artificial colors and flavors into your body at the same time. How about just get give your body what it needs. Don't give it the junk. And the thing is, we don't need to. We have other options out there. And it's just a habit, just a matter of getting the Gatorade out of the house or out of the college dorm fridge. I don't know if that's realistic. Yeah. But showing up with a box of Ultima or Noon or another electrolyte powder that tastes good. And then you can add the best daily ever. I mix them together.
Okay.
So, yeah. There is magnesium. There's magnesium in there, but I didn't design this as an electrolyte supplement.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. If someone is thinking about this and they're like, first of all, I want to make a change, but I'm not sure where to start. Okay. I'm thinking you're going to say start with the best daily ever, but, but what are a few other things that you would recommend for them to get started, and maybe they'd see a fairly quick change for them?
Yeah. For kids or for adults? For kids. So I would say test to know. Like, I think the first thing to do would be, in terms of getting started, would be to get tested. Take the time and make that investment to have your child tested for the imbalances, and then go about deciding what to take. In terms of like biggest bang for your buck, if your child needs vitamin D, you really do see a big difference when they take it. If your child needs a vitamin B complex, you'll really see a big difference. Same with zinc. There's so many. If there's an amino acid deficiency, like phenylalanine or lysine, and again, by testing, you'll know. But all of these ingredients, all these nutrients, when you're deficient in them, symptoms, behavioral issues, you see it. And so when you give your child any one of those things that they have that they're not getting enough of, you'll see the changes. Magnesium is another supplement where you really see a difference if your child needs it. It's a very calming mineral. It has so many impacts on the body, but it can really help with staying calm. There's so many supplements on the market these days that it's hard to know where to start. So
great. Okay. Yeah. We want to know where to find you and where to find the best daily ever.
Sure. So my website, as my practice website, is drgina.com, drgina.com. And then the website for the glutathione pixie sticks is bestdailyever.com.
Well, Gina, you have been so enlightening, and I'm guessing most people are going to have to go back and listen again and pick everything up you said because you've given them so many valuable nuggets. So thank you
Good.
so
I'm
much for
glad.
doing that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Very happy to be here.
Thank you.